Welcome to the Best Hour of Their Day podcast with your hosts, Jason Fernandez
and me, Jason Ackerman. With more than 20 years in the business,
as both coaches and affiliate owners,
our passion is to help create world-class affiliates
and coaches by building
better boxes. Welcome to
the best hour of your day.
All right, here we go. Best hour of their day. Today's episode is all about the Knowledge Pro. We've got the three badass coaches running the show. Pat Barber, Todd Acuto, Lindsay, Andrew will be the ones helping you develop. Coming over from the Mastermind group, we've had close to 100 people pass the level 3, multiple past the level 4. People get on seminar staff. Of course, that's not only attributed to the Mastermind, but being surrounded by like-minded individuals pushing forward, winners win, Todd.
That's
helps. Let's do the following. Let's talk a little bit about yourselves. Let me ask you some questions. Lindsay, Andrew, let's kick off with the best looking in the bunch.
Thank you.
Tell us about your CrossFit journey, how you found CrossFit, how you've managed to make a awesome, life out of CrossFit, from owning multiple affiliates, traveling the world, all that good stuff. Tell us about it.
Well, this journey started a little over 15 years ago, which seems like just a different lifetime. Just seems like a different life. And I was bartending in Las Vegas. I was a bartender on the strip in like a nightclub. I had not a healthy lifestyle whatsoever.
You could say it.
Yeah, it's not nothing. I wasn't going to say anything. It was just not healthy. It was not health and fitness journey. And a couple of my coworkers actually did CrossFit. And at that time, it was like all fire breathers and people like Pat Barber, AKA the Manimal. Do you remember that? Oh, let's bring that back.
I remember that. He makes me proud that now. He's still making me.
So, people with like 18,000 abs already. And those are the folks that were doing CrossFit then. Anyway, day one, got hooked. And shortly after that, I was encouraged by my mentors at the time to start coaching. And I really actually, ironically, wanted nothing to do with coaching. I literally was like, I don't want to be responsible for how other people are training. And anyway, I dipped my toe into it and immediately I fell in love with it because I found that other successes were far more rewarding than my own. And from there on, it was just this trial and error process of making 8,000 mistakes, then, inside the class, and then asking loads of questions after, or navigating like, I don't know what I'm doing. How do I fix this? How do I get this, communicated properly? And just so many mistakes that I'm hoping that we can help others not make.
That's the whole goal, right? We've made the mistakes. Well, in 2007, if we would have said, hey, Lindsay, flash forward 15 years, your entire life is going to be based around health and fitness, what would that Lindsay have said?
If you would have told me that I would be teaching,
you would have put down the cigarette. She would have put down the cigarette first.
That was earlier years.
That was the least of our concerns of what needed to be put down at that point.
Oh God. Yeah, if you would have told me at that time that I'd be teaching fitness and public speaking for a living, I would have literally laughed in your face because I was not a worker outer, fitnesser, hated public speaking. It wanted nothing to do with that. So it's just, life's weird, man, but things happen for a reason, and I'm so incredibly thankful. So
life is weird. Look at the four of us. Who would have thought?
Can I just say how fantastic it is that we have on one end of the spectrum, we have somebody who is highly competent, but continues to question herself about how good she actually is. And then somebody who is a very low performer, but thinks he's amazing.
I know, Todd.
They're handing off to each other in this call for the Knowledge Pro. It's like the Mastermind went from supreme confidence, but low competence, to the other side of things, where it's like just competence, but still working on that that belief in self.
There's a reason that expression still holds true. Speaking of the manimal, though, let's hear it from the man himself.
Sure. What would you like to hear about, Jason?
Well, you've got a very unique CrossFit journey because you started, at the original HQ with some of the, you're an OG at this point, but what's an OG of an OG? I don't even know. Like
OG
Nicole Carroll's and Tony Budding's and Greg Glassman's, and like you were surrounded by it. You were in the, it's like, the only thing I can, there's better analogies, but it's like you were basically like at Woodstock, and now we're all just talking about it.
Yeah, no, I was back when, I'm going to be honest, the good coaches, I'm not going to be mean here. It's just the reality of the situation is like the good coaches weren't good coaches. It was before good delivery was a thing. They had the education, but we were still refining the ability to get that across to people. And what I've been able to watch develop over the years is now let's take this high level of education and make it so anybody in the world can understand it. And that's what's profound to me about now is like we've got thousands of coaches around the world who can deliver super complex content in a way it can be understood by non-athletes, and so this content's so much more digestible. But I've been around since the beginning, man. I was an 18-year-old high school kid who did not know how to moderate his intensity levels, and I was training back. I just right place, right time, and I've been doing it ever since. And I started in this community when I didn't understand what the value of what we had was, and I've through the years constantly challenged what we do. That's kind of my nature, is to be like, I think it's wrong, and even though I have no information, and constantly be challenging that. And I've stepped outside the community. I've done everything in between, and the beauty that I find within the CrossFit space is that all of this content has so much depth to it that the harder I lean on it, the more things I find. And I just become more deeply in love with all of the things that we do. And the mechanism to make that happen in the daily world is coaches. And that's why I find myself now in this space helping coaches and absolutely being completely reinvigorated by it on the daily. So.
Is it true that you once quit in the middle of Fran and then continue going?
Yes. I the very first time I did Fran, and I think we all have this experience at some point in time where, it hits you harder than you think is okay. Like where you're like, something's wrong.
Process pain fast enough, huh?
Yeah, you're doing it. So like for me, like I was very gifted physically. Like that's my boon in this world is I'm good at sports. And I had worked out before.
Humble brag if I've ever heard one, huh, Todd?
Yeah, if I was closer, I would give you a pat on the back for you. It's hard to reach around.
I'm just great at sports, guys. I don't know.
Well, I mean, everything else was difficult, but moving my body through space, that was good. But I remember the very first time I could do pull-ups, no problem. A 95-pound thruster was a little heavy because I weighed like $150 and was not that strong. But so I remember I did 21 thrusters, 21 pull-ups, and then I picked up the bar to do my set of 15. I did one thruster, and I was like, "There's something wrong. Like there's something very wrong." And I held the bar overhead for a second, and then I put the bar down, and I looked at Tony. And I was like, "Tony, there's something wrong with me." And he's like, "There's nothing wrong with you." And I was like, "There is." And I sat down and I was like, there's something wrong with me. I don't know what's happening. And he's like, "Get up. If you don't get up, I will never coach you again." And I sat there for probably a minute 30, maybe 2 minutes. And then finally I got up and finished the 15s, the 9s. But it was the first time I'd ever hit that threshold of I can't move anymore and something's happening. But yeah. I think I was faster than the fastest time you've ever done, Jason.
With a 5-minute break in there?
It was only a 2-minute break.
95 pounds, so.
That's true. You're right.
How far into your CrossFit journey was that Fran experience?
I'd say that was probably about a half year, 6 months into the journey of really getting after it. Because the first workouts we did, like the very first workout I ever did was the Inman Mile. Do you guys remember that one? The Inman Mile was like you throw 135.
Really
okay.
Was I frozen?
I was like, he's really considering this, huh? You're frozen, Pat.
No. Did you hear what I said? The first workout I ever did was the Inman Mile.
No. Ew.
Was that where you have to carry your body weight for a mile?
Yeah, it's a mile body weight walk. And that was the very first one that was ever given to me.
This was the best coach out there, and he's making you do this as like a 17-year-old?
Day one. It was day one. They were like, all right, guys, we're going to do this Inman Mile. It's going to be sick. And I was like, what?
We are not the same. I couldn't even continuously run a 400-meter warm-up run when I started CrossFit, and I was 25
Were you smoking cigarettes for real when you started CrossFit?
No, I was not. There was a lot of drinking involved in those days. Yeah, I definitely smoke a carton now.
A carton. Wait, Pat, you did your first. Did you get rhabdo?
No, but I broke. You know, you're supposed to go unbroken for a mile with the barbell on your back, and I'm like walking in the mountains because it was up at my school up in Mount Madonna. And I just like hemorrhage, you know, like I'd never lifted weight before or anything. So you're sitting there, you're just crumbling under this, like it was the worst. I mean, it must have, I can't remember how long it was, hour plus, like it was a nightmare. But yeah, I was pretty hooked after that.
You know, and for those listening though, I don't think any of our first experience was CrossFit back in the day. Maybe Lindsay's a little bit, was that different, right, Todd? Like it was like, you know, Glassman talks about like when he made Fran, it was like, hey, I threw up, you should try this. And that's what got us all hooked.
Yeah.
What about you, Todd?
There was no like, let's ease you into this. Man, I can remember my first 2 experience at affiliates. I'd been doing what I thought was CrossFit on my own without a stopwatch or without any real idea of what the intensity was at like traditional gyms. And then I went to an affiliate, CrossFit Jax, which at the time was
JB?
No, that was Chris's gym. But it was when it was not really a business, it was a fight club. And I remember walking in, they go, we usually bring new people in with like an intro workout. And I was like, no. I've been doing this for a while. I'm pretty good. And try to keep up with a bunch of like Navy guys and just got destroyed, puking my face off in between rounds of the workout, you know, crawling out to puke in the gutter and then crawling back in to keep finishing with nobody walking up to going, hey man, are you okay? It was just like people were looking at me and like laughing probably more than anything else. And then my next time, I think, was at a different location, and I walked in. This was when I decided I was going to join an affiliate, and I walked in for the first workout, and it was the chief. And so it had 135-pound cleans, and it was pretty much like, no, that's the workout. That's the weight you'll do. I was like, okay, all right, let's see what happens.
There's no option.
Yeah.
Like, I can't deadlift this, so I don't know what's going to happen. I remember you finally, like 2008, 9, you're like, all right, we can hurt people. And I had this dude from the military come in, and there was this girl there, Tiff, who was very fit. And I was like, hey, you should do Fran with her against her. And I was like, watching him go from pull-ups to like jumping pull-ups to, I was like, oh, I'm like giving this dude rhabdo. I was like, right now, this is exactly how you give rhabdo. And I was like, so worried. I was like, I'm going to murder this guy. Like, and now it's incredible how far we've come in a short period.
I'll be honest, I'm impressed that you even thought that was the case. I didn't even think that was something.
It was like you first hear of rhabdo, and I was like, this is it. Like, this is what's going on over here.
I remember early in my coaching journey having like an on-ramp series where wall balls were part of the like on-ramp workout, and having this like 50-year-old mom that's in here trying to get fit and get started. And I'm repping her reps because the ball's not hitting the target, and making her do
Attaboy. Attaboy. Hold that standard, Todd.
Standards are more important. I cannot believe she came back. She had to been like unable to get out of bed for 3 days.
Wait, Todd, Chris Russell made you do 135-pound cleans when like?
No, that was my next workout. He wasn't even there. I went his gym. The
Chris
workout
Russell,
was something.
OG, also seminar staff, Flow Master now, right?
Who's that?
Chris. I mean, just giving him a shout out, like amazing human being. But we were all terrible. But so what did you do? Like could you clean, like, I'm not joking. Like, I know you can get it to your shoulders, but like, were you going to break yourself?
No, at that gym. Well, I'd played college sports and I had done Olympic lifts, at least what I thought. So in this gym, and it's like a Saturday community workout, and the coaches tells me what the workout is, and he just goes, all right, show me your clean. There was no like, let me teach you this, let me warm you up. It was like, put 35 pounds on there.
What is that? What is that?
And I did it, and it looked like I had done it before. And he's like, oh yeah, shit, that looks almost better than mine. You're good.
You're like, Pat, you guys are just gifted.
Meanwhile, Todd's like doing limbo underneath the bar. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I would love to see a video of that. Do you know, I remember seeing back in the day when Isabel would pop up, it'd be like 135 or use I'm like, of course. I had never snatched. And I remember this was still at a Globo gym. And I was like embarrassing myself trying to get, and I was like, oh, that's why it says or broomstick.
Same deal. Dude, I did that at that workout at just a regular. It was called a Peak Fitness in Charlotte, North Carolina, when I was living there. And I was confused because I was like, well, I'm going to do a couple of warm-up snatches. I'd never done that movement before with a barbell, and I could barely get the empty barbell over my head, and I was like perplexed. I was like, what? There's no way this is a real movement, and there's no way that this workout's supposed to be done at 135, because if I can't do it, nobody can do it. This is stupid. There's no way.
The amount of arrogance on this call.
I was like that. So I was very physically capable, at least I thought.
Yeah. Well, so with Tony, when I was kind of in and out of CrossFit my first 6 months, because I would come for like a week
right?
I was 18, and I would come and for a full week I'd go every day, and I'd vomit every time. So like I'd do the workout, and I had no throttle. Like I had no ability to monitor my own ability to go. So I was inconsistent, to say the least, but when I finally came by for the workout that got me hired by Tony, not the workout, but like I had quit my job working room service, and I had come, like I'd been off CrossFit for like a month, and I came back in. Tony was like, hey, I'm about to do a workout. You want to hop in with me? And I was like, sure. What is it? And he's like, it's called Carabel. So it's Karen and Isabel smashed together. So it's 5 snatches, 10 wall ball, or whatever it was, and then back and forth.
3 and 15 for 10 rounds.
Yeah, 3 and 15. That's it for 10 rounds. And I was like, sure, man. What's a snatch? And like he's like, okay, it's this. And we like warmed up ahead of time. And I think my 1 rep max was like 145. And he's like, no, you'll be fine at 135. And I weighed like $150 at the time. So he made me do it at 135. And like, that was actually like a 1 rep max for me. Like it was very close to it for 30 reps coupled with wall ball. And I'm 5'7", and wall ball was so devastating for me. So it was like, I just watched Tony mop the floor with me in this workout. And I'm trying to like use my ego to keep up with him. And I remember it being like, this is not okay. I don't know what's going on. And then I got hired by CrossFit. It was great.
You got hired originally for media, right?
Yeah, it was more so like I was saying I'd quit my job, and he was like, do you know how to hold a camera? And I was like, no, but I think I can figure that out. And then he was like, well, we can't pay you, but I can fly you around the country, and you can go to all these seminars, and we'll feed you. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. Like I had no responsibilities at the time. And yeah, that was my intro in. I just got to fly around and hold a camera for every seminar.
So you really never had a real job?
I had a lot of real jobs beforehand. So I worked in room
18.
Service. I did. Yeah, I know. I worked up, but that period of time.
Service, what else? What were your real jobs?
I did room service. I worked in a little convenience store. I worked in a clerk's office sorting papers and doing paperwork stuff. But beyond that, it was like I came in and kind of jumped straight into filming and editing video, and then eventually coaching.
You're an interesting human being, Pat Barber. You are a very interesting person.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, here we are rambling about the old days, but the truth of the matter is that's why we're here, because we all got exposed to terrible CrossFit. We're still alive. I remember this was Todd. I've stolen this, but Todd actually, man, I don't remember. I don't, if I remembered where we were, I wouldn't say it. But Todd looked at me. We were watching something. He's like, isn't this crazy? And I was like, what? He's like, even shitty CrossFit works. And do you remember saying that, Todd?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's so impressive that the program is so well designed that you cannot, like, it's almost impossible to mess it up.
And people want to like pick that apart, but it's true. It's like, think about it. Like if the world just squatted poorly, took something overhead and picked something up regularly, how much better off every human being on this planet would be. And, we're here to obviously improve it from shitty to, and work on coaching so people don't get this experience and people can do this for, longevity. And that's what the Knowledge Pro is all about. So Pat, you came on board with Best Hour, launched the Knowledge earlier this year, which is, my way of telling people, it's like Netflix for coaching, right? Like every day, I remember at the games, you were like, hey guys, I'm going to put out 5 videos a week for 52 weeks. And I was like, that's it. That's it. And you've been on that journey and you were running around. And by the way, at the games, every single person there knows who Pat Barber is. 100% of the people. The games athletes were coming up to Pat asking for autographs. I saw.
Was that really? That's not a true statement?
Yeah. Daniel Brandon was like, hey, Pat, can you?
Yeah, that's what happened. I remember it. That happened.
Side note, buy some Tado art if you want, huh? If you're watching this video, Todd, those are knockoff Banksies, but Todd made those.
Yeah. Can show you way more. TJO makes art. Check it out.
TJO makes art. But we launched the Knowledge, and then there was this need for even more feedback driven. And I'll let you talk more about it and explain it to the audience. But big picture, you can become a world-class coach online. For many people, it's like we take the level 1 and level 2, and that's where it ends. And we're here to fill the gap.
Yeah. I mean, so essentially we launched the Knowledge, which was our coaching development platform, a daily video every day, just kind of as CrossFit and coaching specific as possible. And it's everywhere from like a 2-minute video to an hour-long video of me watching someone's class. And that was very hands-off. It's an entry level. I want to get better. I need more information. I want it very in this vein and applicable. And a big part of that was like, can we make it actually actionable versus constant theory? Because theory is great, but it just helps build a foundation for action. And so a lot of the Knowledge, that's what we were trying to go for, is here's my progression for teaching this. Here's what it looks like when Todd teaches this. We try to keep Jason out of the app, so he's not in there as much as possible, but there's some great coaches who are in there. Yeah, there is an app. It's fantastic. So, but then beyond that, we wanted to have an ability to have a little bit more hands-on experience, because over at Affiliate U, if anybody listening is a part of that, and they know, we have a very robust coaching development platform with that. And it is truly magical. Lindsay does that. Todd does that. I do that. Jason, again, hands off. So it actually ends up working. And we wanted to have something that was similar to that, not quite the same, but worked on the practical application of coaching, the ability to self-evaluate, the ability to try some of these things out and get homework and, take whatever coaching level that you're at and bring it to the next level, while also simultaneously rounding out some theory knowledge just in case you need to go get a higher level theory credential. And being all level 4 coaches, some of us a little bit more valid than others. I
know Lindsay's a little sketchy, right?
We have, and also being flow masters and staff members for as long as we are, we can articulate stuff in a way that is not
50 years on this
super
right here. 50 years of staff.
Yeah, it's not super common in the space. So we wanted to be able to offer access to that to people who weren't just a part of Affiliate U, because Affiliate U is quite a big program. So what we did is we've written out these lessons, and we kind of bounce back and forth between practical and theory. And we're going to do calls twice a week. The first call is going to be like a community call to help create like a community for coaches who are all getting better. And we just got off right before this Jason's old Mastermind call. It was the final version of that. It's going to be rolled into the knowledge.
You want me to read the speech again on this podcast?
No, you don't need to read the speech again. It's okay.
I'll send it to you, Todd. I'll send you privately.
The resounding conversation around that was like being around people who are constantly trying to improve, and who are also seeking to be better. And that environment, just like any gym where a bunch of people are trying to do the same thing, makes change easier and makes those conversations happen a lot more naturally. So we're going to continue to create that space for people with guidance and with a bit of hand holding and the ability to have people who have already gone there help the people who are continuing to try to be there. So the Tuesday calls will be like a community call, Q&A, stuff in the community, like that's going on in the larger CrossFit space. And then the Thursday call will be flip-flopping back and forth between a practical and a theory, off and on, with submitted videos that we can watch and on the call, as well as homework lessons that you go and you do self-evaluations, as well as theory stuff, where we're going to unpack kind of deeper level theory, and we can go into all that when we hop on the calls.
Do we know the call schedule to kick off?
With Tuesdays and Thursdays, I believe Eastern, 11 Eastern on Tuesdays, and then 1 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays.
Awesome. With that, we're going to see some advancing in coaches, and we're going to see a lot of people signing up. Of course, the goal is to grow as the app. There's an app out there, and the coaching continues to grow. We'll continue to add more calls. We'll continue to make sure everyone's getting what they need out of that group. It's just awesome to see. If we had that back in the day, I don't know. Do you think I think part of why we're here now is because of the journey itself. Do you think if you would have known everything you know now back then, what do you think would have been different, Todd?
To be honest, I feel like this is giving other coaches the access that we had. I think I'm pretty confident that everybody on this call, we're fortunate enough to have access to coaches that were really good at the time, right? We might look back and be like, they still didn't know that much, but relative to the rest of the community, we all had coaches that we were able to model our coaching after. And I think that's one of the unique things that has helped us get to where we're at, and one of the things that's lacking for a lot of coaches, right? Because most people, you only get a chance to see your affiliate owner or the coaches at your gym, and you think that's what CrossFit coaching is. And if you don't have a higher standard, you don't know what you're missing. And so I know for myself, and I'm assuming you guys are the same way, it's like you were fortunate enough to have some of those higher level coaches. You saw what a true standard was. And we want to provide that to the rest of the community that might not be as fortunate as we were in seeing some of those really high level coaches on a day-to-day basis, and having somebody and a coaching standard to try to mimic and live up to and try to work towards. And so I think that's—
What's that for you, Todd?
Man, I mean, being in the South, I like, Justin Berg and I had met in college.
We played on the same baseball team, yeah.
Yeah, we played baseball together in college and got into CrossFit at the same time. And, he was a seminar staff member. I was close to, Chuck was down here. The Southeast, there was just a bunch of really high level coaches that I was fortunate enough to see and be around. I remember, visiting at the time Jupiter with the girl I was dating, and dropping in and seeing Jenny Orr coach a class at her gym because I knew she was there, and, just was around a lot of people that were working for seminar staff. And so I saw what that standard looked like on a daily basis and was working towards that.
How about you, Lindsay?
So when I was coming up, Zach Forrest, he was the one that I kind of like imitated. And I love that Todd said something about like mimicking, because in the beginning, it's like, I'm just like copying what you're doing. I'm copying. And then over the years of refinement, then I make it my own. And that's like really what I did, learning from him. And then during that period, you know, he's been on seminar staff far longer than I have too. And during that time, we hosted seminars at our affiliate. And so I got to be around seminar staff. So people like the Chris Spielers and the Eric O'Connors, and whether Pat knows that Pat was around that during that time. And so it was like Jason Khalipa, you know, all West Coast people. And so, you know, Todd is exactly correct. I really believe that we had access to those kind of folks, and made our perspective and our like upbringing, if you will, a little bit different, and not everybody has that. So, yeah.
What about you, Pat?
That was something that, well, the thing is, like, so the years that I'm talking about are about four years before Todd and Lindsay are talking about. So I'm talking about the beginning. By the time that Todd and Lindsay are coming on, we're talking about those times. There had started to become a crop of coaches who really was representative of what is great. And I think that that's what set the tone for everybody else. All these people that they're mentioning, absolutely. For me, when the first people I saw truly excel, who showed me, because you have to have that example. It's like a gym that has, like, you know, nobody has a muscle up, and then all of a sudden someone gets a muscle up, and they're like, "Whoa, what the heck?" And then everyone gets muscle ups, and you're like, "Okay, there it is." That's what we needed to see, that it was possible. The person who first showed me that kind of coaching was possible was Mike Bergner. I went to his high school where he had all those lifting platforms, and I watched him coach a group of like 17 people through the snatch and clean and jerk, and was like, what the hell was that? Like, you were offering how many cues, and you had them going on your command, and it was amazing. And then the next group of that was like the Kelly Starrett, Adrian Bosman, Todd Widman, like those guys who were like started to filter in and started to teach level ones. And I was like, okay, like I see that. And then, to be honest, Hollis Malloy and Danielle Malloy, they were like some of my original coaches, and they were very big fans of Kelly Starrett. So they went into like uber technician mode, like very technical coaches. And really, really cared about that. Almost like Todd said, it's like, I'm going to be more concerned with you hitting that wall ball target and getting below parallel than your safety. You know, like they were the type of coach who was like, I'm going to make you move really well. And I don't care if you like me or not, but you're going to move well. And so like, those were my examples. And like I really want to echo that, Todd, like we did get these examples. And then when we came on seminar staff, it just rapid fire that development. And you see the level of seminar staff versus people who have not been on seminar staff. And it's just like, it's not fair. Every weekend we get to be with these coaches who are like really good at what they do in a very different way than you are. And you can just learn so much from that. And it just rapidly accelerates your own development. So that's what we're trying to create. That's why we created the knowledge in the first place, was like, people around the world don't have access to coaches who are like showing them what it looks like to be good at this job. And so that's what we're trying to, continually put forward. And because there is not one way to do this, there's so many ways to do it correctly, and to see that done over and over again, and to be held accountable to that, and to be working towards it and asking questions. Like, it's just, it would have been cool to have this in the way we currently have it, very just set up for it, but we did get that. And that's what made us who we are. And not to say like we're the greatest in the world, but we're good at this job. And I'm very confident at saying that, because we genuinely are. Everyone on this call is.
It's actually the
almost
least arrogant thing you've said on this entire podcast.
Fun fact, me and Todd were actually in the same hiring class. So that's funny that you're like, hey, Pat's like, I'm talking about 4 years prior to this. Todd and I got hired. Jason was actually after me and Todd.
Was I after you?
I was going to say, he's not a good example of a good coach.
Jason actually did his first internship before Pat even made it to high school, but he kept failing the internship and getting asked to come back years later. So 10 years later, finally made it through.
Full circle.
He's not wrong. Well, if you're still listening, despite these terrible jokes, you can sign up for the Knowledge Pro today. Today is the day. We're putting this out there. It's opening today. I know it's the future right now, guys. Pat, I saw your brain explode a little bit there, and you're already a day ahead of New Zealand right now. But the Knowledge Pro launches today, besthouroftheirday.com/the knowledge. Of course, if that link was wrong, Cody, Christian, and the team will make sure it's the right link in the video and on the podcast. And of course, from what I hear, there's an app. So you can always go to
There's an app.
You can always go to the App Store and grab it there.
No. You want to download it. You want to sign up through the website and then download the app. It works better that way. Trust me.
Yeah. Go through the website, download it, find the app, and go from there. Any last words from the crew?
No, just stoked to start working with people.
Yeah. And this is the content we all wanted when we started, and can't tell you how excited we are to work with you, but also to be able to provide it for you.
Samesies.
Thanks for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. We appreciate you listening and choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. You can find more episodes just like this on all podcast platforms. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community. Thanks for listening.